We all know how important storytelling is to business. Whether you're giving a live presentation or you're writing a document, stories provide a great way for you to engage your audience emotionally, to build up suspense so that they keep paying attention, and to ensure that they remember what it is that you say to them. But I see a lot of folks struggling when they're trying to create a story within a pre-existing document form, especially within a recommendation report. So here are some tips to help you with that. I want you to imagine you're in this situation. Let's pretend that you are working in the marketing department of a business and your boss has asked you to write a report recommending which social media platforms you should focus on. So this is a question the report needs to answer. Now, if you were to write your report as just a series of actions that happened, it wouldn't really be a story. It would be what I call a flat line. So it might look something like this. About a year ago, we didn't have any social media. Then we started a Twitter account. Then we made some postings. Then we decided to open a Facebook account. This is not a story because there's no real action or drama. It's just a straight chronology and it's pretty boring. A story requires a structure. Sometimes people talk about a narrative arc, but that sounds kind of sloppy to me because it just sounds like this kind of rounded wave. A genuine story follows a particular structure, a pyramid structure, that works like this. It starts with the description of the initial situation. So we might say a little over a year ago, we had no social media presence to speak of, because at that point we were getting referrals and we were getting new business through in-person networking. Now, in a genuine story, there's always a complication that occurs. So there's a kind of trigger event that causes some results to happen. In this case, about a year ago, the pandemic happened. And so suddenly in-person networking wasn't working for us, so we had to open a social media account, and we started with Twitter. And that's where things started to get complicated, and we have what I call escalating action. We opened Twitter, things were great for a while, we made a few posts, but then we found it started to take off and we were spending hours and hours monitoring the account. Then we got a troll, then we had some further issues because we couldn't always share within Twitter's length restriction the kind of content we wanted to share. And then finally, about 2 months ago, to top it all off, we've got a new VP of marketing, and that person has been really pushing for us to be not just on 1 or 2 platforms, but on 5 platforms. So that's when we really reached a crisis point or a decision point. Right? So that's the first part of our pyramid, and all of this happens before the report is commissioned. That's the important part to know. Now you actually start writing your report. Your report is actually the downside of this pyramid, because this is where you present the resolving action. You analyze what has happened, make sense of it, and then present some recommendations to enable your audience to make a decision, which will result in resolution and what I call the glorious future state, which leads on past the sunset into a rosy future of continued success. Now, the thing to notice about this pyramid diagram is that it's very proportional here. One side's the same as the other. But when you're writing a report, your report does not spend half of the time on the backstory. The backstory is really just the framing for your report, right? You want to show the reader that you understand what their situation was, you understand how they got to where they got to today through all of this complication, and that you see this moment of decision through the same lens, the same perspective that they do. So getting the backstory right is absolutely critical for creating shared understanding and building trust. It also gives you key themes and language that you will want to use throughout the report, but it doesn't take up half your report. This is the work that you will do mainly in the introductory sections. The front story, on the other hand, is actually where the story gets exciting. So, if you think of a traditional story like a fairy tale, once upon a time there was a kingdom with a fair princess. The kingdom was threatened. That's our trigger event. So then we have a brave knight who goes off. He slays the dragon. That's the moment of decision. And then basically in the resolving action, the knight just kind of wipes his sword off and heads back to collect the princess. And there's happy ever after. But in a recommendation report, the resolving action is actually where you're going to spend the bulk of your time. This is where you present a roadmap to that glorious future state. This is where you're going to present an analysis of what the problems are. You're going to look at options for solving them, and then you're going to provide specific directions about how to solve them. So I hope that helps you understand how the story structure, that pyramid structure, is what creates drama and engagement in a report. And that drama not only makes reports engaging, but it's also what makes them memorable and actionable.